Hello guys, my name is Nine and welcome back to another video. Before we get any further into today's video, if you guys are new to my channel, please consider dropping a like and subscribing as it greatly helps everything that I'm doing here. At this point, you guys are wanting to know the cost and the upkeep of the base, so on screen now, you're going to see those numbers. Extraordinarily cheap. For a solo duo, anyone can do it. Now I'd like to mention, if you guys are new to my channel here, I do answer every question you may have in the comments below, so any questions, comments, concerns, leave them down below and I'll get to it as soon as possible. Alright guys, let's get into the build. Alrighty guys, before we actually go and build the base, we're going to go on a little tour of this guy here. So before we start, I do want to say this is a solo duo trio base. This is an extremely cheap base, tons of defenses. It's not meant to be an extremely expensive offline, so the main TC will be a little cheap. However, that's perfectly fine and will be good. So starting off, when entering into our shell, we have 3 auto turrets that watch the entire thing. Beautiful angles and all of that. Coming over to this side here, we have some breach-like peaks for our outer peaks, and we have bedrooms on either side. You can obviously turn these into loot rooms or battery rooms or whatever you want. However, right now, I just have them as bedrooms. Now coming up to here, you can see we have some nice little peaks onto the outside of our base. Those are really simple and they are awesome. And looking up, you can see that this is how our shooting floor is. It's like a shooting floor, but it's also like inner peaks. It's kind of cool. And you'll see more of that in a minute. So if I keep running around here, I'll get back to our main entrance. Apologies about that. Which will just be a single door airlock. Now the first floor is our cheapest room, is what I would say. This is just our main TC storage starter room. You're not meant to really use this anything past the early development stages. So I've just spammed tons of bags here. Now I did say it's a duo trio base, however, you can fit a ton of bags in this guy. This is our main TC. This is the cost of the entire base. This is the upkeep. 7.8k stone, 8.6k metal, and 57 high qual. Now I didn't fully upgrade everything, but it's pretty effectively upgraded for this thing. I've spammed garage doors throughout, as you can see here, and all that. By our TC room, we have 2 little root rooms here. So 8 boxes on this floor, some furnaces, our tier 2, and our jump up to our next level. Alongside a little peek into our front door airlock. This next level is going to be a little more storage and a little utility area. I personally like this as a second spot for a battery in case you add more than 9 turrets to this base. This is a great spot to add more turrets. Furnaces, you could put mixing tables here, or a mixing table here, or a repair bench. It's up to you really, and just more storage. Going back up to the next level here, this is going to be my main storage room. Tons of boxes, our tier 3 workbench, place for bags and all that stuff, and really it's just good to split up your loot between first and third floor. By doing this, you can still force a pretty good raid cost. So going up to our next level, we are met with our main battery. This is a beautiful spot for a battery. It's really hard to hit this guy, and I've garage stored it off. You can window it off, it's all personal preference. And you can see we kind of have some windows out to our shooting floor. Just good to have this little extra line of defense here. Okay, coming through the single door airlock, you can do this differently if you'd like. We have our little ramp turrets, like so. You can see down here, we have our inner peaks, is what I would like to call them, inner peaks / shooting floor, and we have bedrooms on all these sides. So coming up to this spot, you'll see that these angles are beautiful for not having to peek a raid base off the side, and you can still peek over and onto every other side. And each one of these has a little roof peak. And our exit to roof. Now this jump is a little annoying, but you'll get the hang of it pretty easily. Jumping up to here, you have more auto turrets covering the entire roof. You don't need 3 up here, 2 will do, but 3 just to be symmetrical here. And we have a 15 rocket roof bunker here. And if you just place twig here, apologies, that was upgrade like such, this is now a bunker. So a nice little bunker on the roof. You can either just simply use this as a shop, or you could, actually store loot in here. It's all personal preference and up to you. There's room for windmills on the space, however I did not place them for the cinematics and tour, as it just looks better without them. Alright guys, without further ado, we're going to actually hop onto the build of the base, and I will see you there. Alright guys, before we actually build the base, it's always good to look at the footprint. So here it is. It is very unique, as you can kind of tell. It's a little different from what we've been doing recently. This will be our bedrooms on those outer peaks, our little peaks on to the outside here. This is the entire main base. It's very small, it's all triangles. And yeah, that's really about it. And then these are our entrances with our archers on top. So without further ado, let's actually jump down here and build the starter. So I'll wipe the island here, and I will be using a little bit of build grade to speed things up, as you will notice. So to start building it, simply start with 3 triangles and wall the entire guy in. Use a double door frame here and place your TC. in this corner like such. I wouldn't place it too far back. I like to personally pull it forward a little bit to make this easier to grab it later. And this is your entire starter, rather. Put any deployables in here that you would wish, but we're going to get building the rest of the base right away. So another thing that is great to mention is try to upgrade this entire pod as early as possible. So I'll simply put it, whenever you have the resources, since this is technically going to be a one-wall raid, you're going to want to upgrade this pod extremely fast. If you have the high qual it. If not, sheet metal it as early as possible and try to at least get this TC room high qualled off and windowed off like this. Okay, so coming through here, we'll remove this door just to show how this progression will be, just to make it a little more open. We're going to be building 4 triangles, like such. And then on each side of these, 3 triangles like such. And you can kind of see this is how our footprint is. On this side, we're going to do a single door entrance, and we're just going to wall the entire thing in. Window here, with a half height jump up here. Capping off the entire guy. And adding our airlock. If you have single door armored doors, that right there is the space for them always. Slapping an embrasure here, and coming up here, and making our jump up to roof. We have a lot of room to play with now, so I like to turn this into a loot room. Add your boxes how you'd wish. And I personally like to window this guy off. Continuing by adding a door frame here. Great spot for 3 furnaces. Easily fit them. And I like to window this guy off and put an embrasure like such. Now, this right here will be the best spot for the workbench. Try to place it in the central spot. You may have to pick it up. It is a difficult placement. And then right here, we're going to want to turn this into a loot room. Apologies for placing 2. And let's just sheet metal this to show. And then yet again, we get more box space. So you kind of see that this core develops very quickly, and it's just got good storage and space for everyone in the group. We can now garage door this path to TC. And that is effectively the raid cost we're looking for. And at your earliest convenience, I say you come to this entire top of the space, sheet metal everything like this, coming to the TC compartment. Easy to do it from the outside, but if not, you can do a lot of it from the inside. You can just high qual this entire guy in, and whenever you do have the resources, sheet metal in this entire first floor. The only thing that does not need to be sheet metal would be this front door, as this is obviously just one door. But coming into here now, as you can kind of see the entire thing being upgraded, it looks much better. These roof tiles technically don't need to be upgraded. However, if you want to upgrade the most important one, this guy right here to armored would help a little bit more with the raid cost. Here's our main upkeep for this point. This is a good kind of starter you can get easily down day 1, even solo. More than enough storage for you and your group, tons of space for bags and all that. But we obviously need to keep expanding. So coming to the next level and just walling the entire guy in. We'll be switching to sheet metal as that's going to be the final grade of everything. Apologies. These entire outer walls, sheet metal if possible. We're going to want to place a shelf here. Or not a shelf, but rather a jump up. And now these frames can all be stone as they don't truly matter. Coming up to the top, we will cap the entire guy in. And this guy yet again will be our jump up to the next level. You can move that double door from down there up to here and you'll be good. It's usually what I like to do. Shotgun trap right here is always really beneficial. And now I'm going to be placing our 2 shelves. And now of course you could do 3 loot rooms just like the floor above. However, I like to use this for utility space, just personal preference, and I'm always in need of more furnaces since this base doesn't have a compound built in with it. I always need the extra furnaces, it's always nice to get them. And then this is a temporary battery location. If you do somehow already have turrets ready to go, this is an option for your battery room. And you can just window these guys off, but it's all personal preference. You could just garage door these loot rooms off too. It's all personal preference when it comes down to it. If you don't have gears, I would window them. But if you have gears, garage door them, why not? Or this guy. Now in this entire section, simply just spam garage doors on the entire wraparound. And this is just a nice wraparound all the way to here, and we're nice and good. Going back down to this first floor, gonna upgrade this guy and this guy. We'll add in our last garage doors here. We pretty much can call it a day in this section. You also want to add embrasure like this is always good. Okay. Jumping up to the next level, we're going to keep expanding as much as possible. So, same thing going along. We want to just sheet metal all these guys. Now this guy's a little weird. We're actually just going to wall this in as honeycomb. Like that. And now we have tons of space to make our main loot room. I'd like to rotate in this way. And I'll actually sheet metal all these shelves because it just looks better. And coming in here with frames in every section. This will be our jump up to the next level. It's a weird spot for it, but it's going to work really well. And then we can just sheet metal cap off this entire guy like this. And now I like to use windows here, however you don't have to. Personal preference. This right here is going to be our battery room. Airlock to the outside world. And we're good. And make sure to cap this entire guy off. Yep. So I'll come down here and keep placing kind of the garage doors that we need. Like such. Apologies for saying that so much, by the way, guys. I just keep doing it on accident. And we can easily fit a ton of boxes in here. And you still have the option if you want to just do windows instead of garage doors. All personal preference. And this will be late game. I will usually high qual this all these outside walls of this level. So the entire third floor, I'll high qual these back walls like this, if that makes sense. Just to increase the raid cost even more because it technically is a one wall from that angle. Just remember the main battlements are on the first floor and like the roof and all that. This base does tank pretty well, surprisingly. So it will work in a pummel. Surprisingly, for the very, very cheap cost that we're running. Furnace here will be our jump up. You can also just ladder hatch this, personal preference. Here's our main battery room. I suggest sheet metaling this guy as early as possible. It's our main battery room, why not? And now this is a great spot for tier 3. Like this. This is my main living room. It's beautiful. Coming down here, as you can see, we're all good on all these departments. And it is good to upgrade these foundations. Apologies about that. Okay, so coming outside, this is kind of what you're going to be looking like at this point. Now, be aware that if this stuff is all stone and not sheet metal, it's perfectly fine. I'm just showing the final grade to speed up the process. Okay, so I'm going to be toggling on symmetry at this point. This will be 3-sided symmetry, so what that means is when I build a square, it does it on every side, like this. So off of our main entrance, in every corner, we're going to be building a square, a triangle, and breaking the square. Placing a triangle back, and upgrading this guy to sheet metal. This doesn't have to be sheet metal, but it can be stone. This is what we'll be left with. Ignore those floating, it's a little bug. Now what we're going to want to do, just hang with me here. This is a square. Square, square, triangle, 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 square. So you have that footprint is what you're left with. And you can see that that's done on every side, so I'll show a few angles of it, just so you guys can kind of get an idea. And now this will decay if we don't build it up to a certain level, just so you guys are aware. I'll show you what I mean by that in just a second. So what we'll do here now is we will upgrade these 2 to sheet metal, these 2 to sheet metal, and these 2 to stone, as they don't matter as much. We can come in here, build grading back on. I could do an airlock like this, but it's personal preference. The half walls on top of here. Sealing this guy off. And I like to put a frame here because this is what it will be eventually anyways. Sealing these guys in like such. Coming over here and doing the exact same thing. 2 half walls followed by windows. And now, thanks to the new update, we can rotate these triangles, place them much easier. I'm really a fan of this, by the way. More frames like this. Triangles, low walls, capping this little battlement in. These embrasures will be best, and these guys only get glass windows as if that's all they need. Same with this guy. And garage door here when you have it. Now these will be our auto turret locations. I just sheet metal in this part as it's very important, like such. Cool. Okay, so what we next want to do is we want to keep building this up as much as possible. So add a sheet metal now. Sheet metal these guys for stability at any point, and build these guys 3 high. Seal this like so, and this is what you'll be left with. So you can see how we're kind of making more of a, you can kind of just see how it's all like coming together. On these guys, build them up 2 high. Sheet metaling these guys and these guys if you do have the excess resources, just for the stability concerns. Along with all of this, it's all personal preference right now. And coming on and placing these triangles like this. Now be aware, you will be able to fall through these gaps like so if you don't place siren lights like this. This will stop you from falling through those gaps. If you are on console, you'll need to use something different to be able to get through these because you don't have these lights yet. So just be aware that you might want to use like tunican lamps or something weird. They won't be as strong and stable in a raid, but they will still get the job done. Okay, now at a stone, we're going to want to build 3 half walls here, windows like so, and a triangle through the middle like this. Once you place this triangle, we can jump up here and place 2 triangles while jumping, or you can come on to this backside, place it like this, capping this guy off. Now, placing 2 windows like here on every side, and adding our necessary embrasures. Be aware, this embrasure doesn't place from this side. You'll actually need to come to the outside like this, or like this I'd reckon, by placing like a floor frame. Ignore this just being twig, place this guy. Just something I thought I'd mention. Now to actually cap off our entire roof, we'll place triangles, squares right here, low wall, and a double door. This doesn't have to be a double door, it could be a single door. Double doors are just easier to jump out of. Now coming down here, I like to place these triangles through the floor as it's much easier. Like that. And same with these guys. It is possible to place them up here, but it does get a little buggy when it just snaps to other objects. Sheet metal on this entire roof. We are looking pretty darn good. Yet another spot for our auto turrets. So this is what the base is looking at like now. I obviously haven't added embrasures like this just for the looks and all that, but it's all personal preference. Something I would like to touch on is I do suggest adding glass windows in these spots, as these peaks aren't really useful, and I'd rather use these as just kind of like lookout angles, as these angles anyways are much more effective for killing raiders. Auto turrets go on these spots, like that. Throw double doors, and now we're going to come outside and we're going to be doing our metal barricade. Pardon me for not having one in my inventory. Now to place these metal barricades effectively, I want to start, we'll be doing it at a twig. I'll just be building a twig to make it easy. You're going to want to build out like this for this guy, and I'll simply place him like this. Now you can break this guy, and that guy is perfectly floating. Okay. Now for this next one, I do like to do this at a little bit of a weird angle. I do like to start, I believe, at this top guy and placing him like so. You gotta place these twigs to make it the easiest, and then shove him as far towards the building as possible is the best way to do it. I know some people mentioned in the last build that people can still ladder over these and get them, and my answer to that is just have your auto turrets stacked with ammo and or shotgun traps facing up, like right here on the base, will just be a nasty thing for them to deal with. They're not going to be able to deal with those very easily. Sheet metal this if you can. And now simply, this guy will be placed like so. So I can just place this while standing on this triangle. This one's probably the easiest one to place, as you can tell. So obviously, you can still get through and place twig on all this, but another idea for you guys to do, if you guys are still dealing with people like building off these and then building up on them, is you can use HVF sensors or something along the lines of those to stop people from placing twig like this. So I'm going to show this off real quick because people had a lot of questions. So if I grab like an HVF sensor and I place it like this, where it kind of sticks halfway through the wall, and this isn't a console thing, but they can't place twig here. And what that really is going to do is that will make it much more difficult, because if you do go around the entire base, with HBF sensors or whatever really any electrical component will work for this. If you do this around the entire base where they just can't place twig and they have to ladder, they'll have to ladder through something like this, and they're just not going to survive that. So if you just go around the base, it is a little tedious and does waste a good amount of metal frags, but if you went around the entire base and added these to every side, just where it's like, look, it's impossible to place that. Come over here. This will deter a lot of those laddering in kind of folks, so you like can't place those. Perfect. Here, can't place those. They shouldn't be able to place this at all either. But if you just do that, that will stop a lot of the laddering, because I know we had questions about that last time. Okay, the last things to touch on are we have our turret locations, we need windmill location, and we also need to show our vending machine bunker. So what really makes this base strong is just having a simple bunker on roof. And to place it, I'll show it out a twig. Place your twig wall like this, grab your vending machine, and simply shove it as close to this twig as possible. Once you place it, upgrade this wall to armored, and at twig you can place this roof triangle. Like so. And I'm having a little issues with it, but like there. And opened. And you can't loot this from any side or anything, like it's just not possible. So you can see I can rotate, but there's no way to loot it. So this is a nice little bunker just to slap on and increase the raid costs of this entire base. Alright guys, let's add windmills, and that is it. So personally, this base only technically needs 1 to 2 windmills, as we only have 2 batteries. So in my opinion, the best spot to either build off is either above these guys right here, or you can go above these guys like this. And you only need it to be too high, like this. This is my personal spot for windmills. I'll show that you can most likely place multiple. You can place up to 3 here. But as you can see, beautiful spot. And they're pretty high. As you can see, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 will give you enough power. Especially if you do like 8 turrets per. But that about does it. Alrighty. The last thing I will mention, because I keep adding things at this point, is something to note. You can fit, we had a few questions about this last time, you can fit oil refineries at the bottom of every piece like this. It's really good to know that. The next thing to also mention is if you have more auto turrets and want to spam them, these spots like this are absolutely amazing. These spots right here are beautiful, and/or just spam them through the first floor at any of these triangle points facing towards the jump downs. It's like this right here is a great spot. This right here is yet another great spot. And this is another great spot. If you just, if you have the extra turrets and resources, might as well. All right, guys, that about does it for the base. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, any ideas, reworks to the base, please leave a comment below. Join my Discord. I'm more than happy to talk to you guys about it and figure out everything there is. So, thank you guys for watching the video. By this time that this video is going out live, we're about to hit 10,000 subscribers. And I just want to give a huge thank you, guys. This means the absolute world to me. I love you all. I will see you in the next one. Thank you so much, guys. You have no idea. I love you all, man.